Welcome in, everybody, to the PBA50 Spectrum Lanes Open, presented by DV8 here in Wyoming, Michigan. I'm alongside Tom Carter. I'm Chase Kaufman.
Good to be here.
Thank you, Tom. So, Tom, why don't you run us through these top 5 bowlers? We got a lot of good bowlers coming in right now. A lot of guys are very prestigious, looking to get another title.
We have a star-studded lineup. You know, in our first match, we've got, I call him Sir Strike-A-Lot, Brian LeClair, looking for his 3rd title this year, going against Ron Mohr, who's going to, this is his 4th consecutive show. This guy is just, he's like the ever-ready bunny. He just keeps on going. Then in number 3 seed, we have the GOAT. And if he wins tonight, he will break the record for having the most wins on the PBA 50 Tour with 15. And then after that, we have the flamethrower himself, who made the show here last year. He's throwing bullets, Eugene Mccune, because this is one of his favorite shots, 34 feet. And in the title, we have the guy that I think has the voodoo roll. He shot 277 in his position round match to get to the number 1 seed, Lennie Boresch.
All right, Tom, well, let's take it out to the lanes and see who's going to come out on top today. Bowler's going to have about 45 seconds left to practice here. See fans anxious, ready to watch some great, legendary bowlers get underway.
They're trying to get lined up, break the lanes down, make them like they want them, because this shot for the last 3 days has actually done mysterious things from day 1 to match play today. And it'll be interesting to see how they break down. They started out unbelievably, I don't want to call them easy, but they were pretty scoreable on day 1. It was hard to throw it in the gutter. And today, that was totally opposite, you know, so it'll be interesting. They tried to break them down, and we'll see what happens. They're all going to be starting outside, I believe. And after that, it could be anybody's game when we get into that championship match.
John Weber making his usual announcements pre-match as Brian LeClair and Ron Mohr get ready to start us off in match number 1.
That's the matchup for the opening match. Bowlers, good luck and
Brian LeClair, the first 2 days, had this place wired. He was leader. And then today in match play, like I said, the lanes got a little tricky. The heads hooked a lot more. The back ends were a little tighter. And you had to force it through the front and try to get the ball around the corner on the back end. Made it a little interesting.
Yeah, I noticed in the first couple days of qualifying, Brian had quite a bit of room down lane where his break point. He's had a good probably 2, 3, 4 boards. And then all of a sudden today, it looks like probably 1, 2 at the most for most of the match play.
Well, I talked to Brian as he was warming up, and he said the first day it was impossible to throw it to the gutter. I mean, he could throw it there, and it would bounce off. Today, the lanes being different, he threw 4 gutter balls trying to do the same thing.
I saw that. He had 2 in 1 game, both on doubles. Ended up losing that match, 189 to 184.
You know, Ron Mohr, he is just, like, again, I said, the ever-ready bunny, and that's just unbelievable because he got on a strike fest today and just started Rambo in the field. You know, this is his 4th top 5 finish, and he might be a super senior, but he doesn't bowl like a super senior.
Not at all.
And he's using the same ball. I think he just needs a 1-ball bag because that same ball he used last week. It's that Daredevil Danger. It's pin up. It's a symmetrical ball. And on these patterns that are so short, you don't need to try to hook the ball because you got enough friction to make the ball hook. The key here is learning to take your hand out of it and let the lane work with you instead of against you. But, you know, so many people on a short pattern still want to hit it, and that's not the thing you need to do. But the problem is you got to hit it a little bit.
Yeah,
he kind of missed that off his hand a little bit. But you know, when you've got that much friction, once you get your feet in the right place, it's really easy to hit the pocket. If you can get that ball, and Ron's been known to get the ball to what we call hook stop. It hooks and it stops right at the pocket, and it means it never goes high. and so it tends to go flush, and the carry percentage is unbelievable. But hook stop is a hard thing to get. I mean, the pattern kind of dictates if you can do that or not. And on longer patterns, you really don't see a whole lot of hook stop.
Mohr cleans up that 2-pin there. Even match through 1.5 frames. Brian LeClair went plus 243 his first 8 games of qualifying, and then went plus 364 the next 8.
That's why I call him Sir Strike a lot. Once he gets on a strike roll, it's unbelievable. I mean, that guy can put some scores together. And obviously, you know, he's going for his 3rd title this year, and he's not scared to win. I mean, we always say out here you have to learn how to win. Well, he's done that pretty effectively. I mean, he's had a great career since he's come out on the PBA50. I can't believe he didn't win more when he was out on the regular tour than he did, but out here he sure makes it look easy. And he's throwing an idle ball with surface. You know, it's kind of funny. Guys go, well, why do you throw something with so much surface? Because there's so much friction out there. Well, what that does, it allows the ball not to overhook on the back end. You know, we got free hook anyway. You don't need a ball that's going to actually want to jump too hard once it hits the back end. So a lot of guys are using balls that have a little surface on them, so when it comes off that pattern at 34 feet, it just rolls. Easier to control that back end. That spot at 45 feet is the hardest thing that you can control.
Yeah, and the ball choice was something I was wondering, because when I came in, I knew we were bowling on 34 feet, 22 milliliters of oil, and I thought, okay, there's probably going to be a decent amount of people throwing urethane out here. And I was surprised at how many people, or lack thereof, were actually throwing urethane.
Yeah, we had Mike Hastings was on my pair, and Mike the second day tried to throw urethane, but it was hit and miss. You know, Ricky Schisler right next to me, he started out like 279, 268 throwing urethane, but then it kind of got that wiggle spot down lane. It just didn't come off the pattern the right way. You kind of like had to force that. You know, it was so much easier to take a ball that was going to come off the pattern and take your hand out of it than try to take a weak ball and make sure you had to hit it a little bit to make sure it came off the pattern.
LeClair leading through 3 frames. Currently up 2 marks. Mohr looking to double.
As long as you got it out there around 2-3, the first day you could get it to half. I don't think you could throw it in the gutter. I mean, I had a pretty good first day. At one point I was clear up into 5th. Unfortunately, my knees are a lot like my motorhome. They're broken most of the time, and I didn't get to finish today. I got 3.5 games in match play, but it's a good thing I got to match play. But I got to cross the house. I got to bowl with these guys, which is a treat in itself, and be able to make match plays pretty unique. But I was hoping, we talked about it earlier, I was hoping that my legs weren't going to hurt so I could actually been on the show with a mic and tell you what was going on out there for real, but we'll have to do it from the booth.
Yeah, we were talking about that. You were in 5th place for maybe a game or 2, and me and Jeff were scared back here. We were saying, well, he's got to do color with us. We can't root for him now.
So did you guys sabotage me? Is that what it was? Jeff Goodyear running the ship over there.
LeClair, his streak ends at 3, but cleans up his 10-pin.
You know what was amazing? The spares, when we started, the left side spares were unbelievably hard because the ball hooked so much when it came off the pattern at a left side spare. But then when you shot for a 10-pin, it would easily float to the gutter, and you're like, how's that possible? I mean, how can it go one way easily and the other way just dead hook? You watch LeClair there. He's kind of unique because we talked about it in Minnesota. He puts his thumb in first, then rotates his hand, kind of like Tommy Jones, and puts his fingers in. And when Mike Fagan was in the booth talking, it was kind of funny. I said, Mike, have you ever tried that? And he goes, nope. And if I did, I'd throw it right through the ceiling.
Yeah, not a lot of players on tour that put their thumb in first. I know Tommy Jones, as you mentioned, was the one that came to mind as soon as you said that. Other than that, I can't think of a lot.
No, there isn't a lot. Tommy Baker does it. The great Wayne Webb, he did it also too. you know, they say just you don't squeeze as much that way because with your fingers, because you on this pattern it's definitely easy to over squeeze with your fingers and overhit. You needed to learn to have what we call a soft hand. Just let the ball roll off your hand. And the carry in this place is phenomenal, as you can see there. It didn't take a lot of speed of a pin coming across to knock over a pin. It had to roll.
Yeah, just like this one here.
See, that's a
4
senior.
just tips into the 9.
That's a senior messenger there. They just come strolling across the deck.
Mohr now currently leads by 1.
It's just amazing to watch this guy bowl. It almost, you know, if you watched us last week or in the week before, it's like we hit the repeat button. It's the same guys on the show because, and the reason they're on the show, they're that good.
4 stepladder appearances in a row for Ron Mohr now, including a title just last week.
Yeah, he won last week against Walter Ray. Walter Ray thought he was going to get his 15th senior title last week, but he's got a chance this week. He's in 3rd, and he had obviously a great look on this pattern also. Walter being Deadeye, he can throw it hard, he can throw it straight, and so this pattern is very conducive to the way he plays the lane.
Mohr came in a little high once again, tripped out the 4. See if LeClair can.
It'd be interesting to know that if a lot of the young players out there today, because all of us that are bowlers have watched bowling and have tried to emulate other players. I just wonder how many young people out there have tried putting their thumb in first and then rotating their hand, because I've tried it. And, I see it. As a pro shop operator and a bowler, you think, well, maybe there's something new that I don't know about. You try to keep your options open, always learning. And I've tried it. When I do it for me, which is probably a good thing since I don't have the speed, I don't hook the ball as much. It's much cleaner down the lane. I know that, at least in my release.
LeClair looking to regain the lead.
If you watch it, he's really steep through the front part of the lane. I mean, from where he's standing, it looks like he was going to be playing 15, but he's actually like 10, 11, and he's sending it out to the ditch. The only problem with that, I think, is going to be a little bit wet dry over under. If he don't come off of that spot just perfect, the strike percentage is not going to be so good. Ooh. Oh, he's looking over. He must have seen something. This place, the remodeling is incredible. That new front entrance that they're putting on this at Spectrum Lanes, I thought I was walking in the Taj Mahal.
Brand new boutique bar coming in.
Yeah, 12 lanes there. They were hoping to have that done for the show.
Ron Mohr looking for his 12th career PBA50 title.
Ron Mohr strikes spare 4-bagger, looking for 5 in a row.
LeClair max out for 258. Mohr
Yeah,
for
see,
280.
and we're talking about angles. And if you look at Ron Mohr, he's farther right with his feet, and he's going a little bit straighter down through especially through the front part of the lane. He's more like 7-8 out to 2, where LeClair was like 11-12, out to 2.
That was another thing I noticed throughout the week. On Thursday, it seemed like a lot of guys were trying to play that 6, 7, 8 area where you could play it, and then there was also a handful of guys playing the 2, 3, 4 board. And then on Friday, it kind of seemed like it shifted a little more. It seemed like a lot of guys started going up 2, 3, 4, and then less guys went in 6, 7, 8. Was that just based on what they saw on Thursday, or was it different oil patterns?
It was totally different the next day. It was like every day the heads got a little drier. And so we knew your first instincts to want to go left, the fronts are hooking, so you go left. But then the carry percentage wasn't as good on the back. And actually, I talked to Ron Mohr as he was practicing, because obviously he had a great match play record today. And he goes, most of the guys were going left. And he goes, to me, they seemed a little wet dry, kind of cliffed up. He goes, and I went back to the right because I had a better angle of striking. So he goes, I just kept trying to take my hand out of it more and more and let the lane take the ball to the pocket. And that's something it's hard to do. Your instinct is, you think you have to hit it. You spend 35 weeks of your bowling career in league hitting the devil out of it, and now you come out here and go, no, don't hit it.
Yeah, it seemed like there was a lot of hesitance to move left just because they didn't want to get in that flat area. So there were an alternative to even changing hand position. So I saw a lot of guys increasing their speed as games went on. I saw Bowler Jr. do that a lot, and there was a couple other guys that really showed that.
When you knew your carry percentage was better outside, and you had two choices. You could loft it farther, or you could try to throw it harder. And we're talking about seniors, so some of them don't have either one of those options, to get it down the lane. Now, obviously, these guys did. For me, and like I said, I had a pretty good set. I kind of went left, but I took my hand out of it. The biggest thing about some of the seniors, when they go left, they never feel like, well, my ball's not going to hook from there because they don't normally hook it. But when the lane is hooking this much, you're not trying to hook it anyway. The ball's going to go there because there's that much friction. I mean, if you watch that shot right there, that got out to 1-2, and it looked like somebody kicked it when it came off the pattern. It's just there's so much friction down lane that when it comes off the pattern, it goes left. It's like, boom, immediately left. But the problem is it came off the pattern so hard, so quick, you've seen it didn't continue. It just kind of stopped on him.
That 10-pin puts LeClair down quite a bit. Now can only max out for 238.
And Ron Mohr going at a 280 pace. Well, that's pretty much a said and done for Sir Strike-A-Lot in this tournament. But we got one more tournament for the 50s next week, Jackson, Michigan, at Dave Small's place. We just came from Dave Small. Now we're going to go back to Dave Small's place. He's hosting a PBA 50 and a 60 in Jackson, Michigan. And we finish up in Fort Wayne with a PBA 60 tournament. And hopefully my parts hold together long enough that I can finish.
Ron Mohr.
That's game, set, match. Yeah. He does what Ron Mohr does, and that he strikes. Playing the lanes much straighter. Still not getting it out quite as far as LeClair down lane. He's only going like 2-3, and the ball's coming off the pattern. But his ball, no matter where Ron plays, always looks like it has that, which we're jealous of. I make it sound like something different, but we're just jealous that we can't do it. It has that hook set thing. I don't care if he's playing 15, 20, or if he's playing where he's playing now. That ball comes off the pattern. It looks like it sets to the pocket, and his carry percentage is unbelievable.
Mohr able to swish out that strike.
Speaking of carry percentage,
right there.
Whether it's high flush, pocket, or barely hit the head pin, and he didn't like it, but it still counts the same.
So Brian LeClair will finish 5th, and Ron Mohr will move on.
So we'll have a rematch of the one last week, Ron Mohr and Walter Ray. Ron Mohr, a Hall of Famer, hoping to go for back-to-back wins since he won last week. Walter Ray hoping to break the PBA 50 record held by John Handegard. The handshake, and LeClair knows it's pretty much all over. He was worried about the way the ball was going to come off the pattern if he could take his hand out of it enough, and unfortunately it didn't work out as well. But LeClair's had such a great season this year. It's just unbelievable.
Crowd gives LeClair a nice hand for his fifth place finish, and Walter Ray Williams Jr. will come on as the 3 seed and try to get his revenge over Ron Mohr from last week's tournament.
LeClair 213, Ron Mohr 268, and here comes Walter Ray Williams.
Walter Ray's going to get 6 shots. We'll get the next match started up for you shortly.
All right, so Walter Ray going to get a few practice shots in here. And Tom, during practice, we saw Walter actually throw it two-handed with, I forget what ball it was, but what was the plan there? What's he trying to do out there?
Walter was throwing his black diamond two-handed, and the idea is just kind of like what guys do with urethane. let's get some oil carry down and create a little bit of hold, down lane so that the ball doesn't come off the pattern quite so bizarre and so strong. And obviously, there's a good thing to that, bad thing. It's obviously going to help out Walter because it gives him some hold and gives him a little bump room, but it can also do the same thing for his opponent too. So it'll be interesting. I don't think Walter's going to be, with his 6 shots he gets now, is going to be throwing his urethane ball down the lane, but his hard rubber ball rather down the lane, that black diamond. But we'll see.
All right, well, let's go check out what he's doing now in his practice shots.
If he wins today, and holds the record on most fields, USPC and PBA Hall in the LeClair game season. Good luck, guys.
And you heard it from Mr. John Weber himself. 47 PBA Tour titles, looking for number 15 on the PBA50 Tour here.
Well, something interesting, Walter elected to start the match, and when I was repping last week, we had talked about that, and we kind of thought he should have started that match last week because of the way the pair, and I think he maybe remembered that and take it into heed this week.
So, Tom, what do you think goes more into choosing what lane to start on? Do you think it's more about what lane you want to finish on or whether you want to actually finish last?
Well, both of those things come into a play, I believe, but being as good as both of these players are, I would say Walter is wanting to pick the lane that he thinks he's going to strike out on, even though he's finishing last. I think he thinks he's got a better shot on the right lane.
So it's just more of an experience thing from when you're just...
Yeah, well, he's been on the show
before,
so many times, you got to kind of know where you think you got a better shot. I mean, unfortunately, that can change throughout the match, based on the way the guys play the lanes, whether they're hooking the ball or what surface they're using, their rev rates, yada, 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 the temperature in the building. Everything can play a factor on that. So it could come back to bite you in the butt, too,
Walter Ray won the first 3 PBA50 titles of this season.
With the same ball. Which is, we all got to joking, why don't you just come to the tournament with a 1-ball bag and your shoes? And Ron Mohr hearing the bar getting a little lively.
Some recreational.
Well, the bar's right behind us. And Ron Mohr has a great peripheral vision because he can see players on either side, and he's got rabbit ears too.
Make sure I talk very quiet then. Here's Mohr. Not able to get out that 10.
That didn't look like one of his better shots. It almost looked like he came out of his shoes on that. Sometimes it's kind of hard to analyze Ron just for the fact that he'll really post a shot really good. Then the next thing is he kind of jumps up out of one like he did there. I would assume, I shouldn't assume anything, but feet could get a little fast, approaches could get a little sticky. There's a lot of things that can make you jump out of a shot.
Cleans up the 10-pin, though. Looking for the 12th PBA50 title of his career. Tie him for 3rd on the all-time list.
Yeah, and he's probably going to be PBA player 60 player of the year for like the 4th year in a row also.
Who's counting anymore?
Yeah, it's at some point it just becomes a moot point. Walter Ray throwing a Vapor Zone asymmetrical ball. Now he might be the only guy on the show throwing asymmetrical. So we'll see how that plays out. Everybody else is throwing a ball that's going to probably store a little more energy and get down the lane just a hair farther. And Walter's using one that could possibly start rolling a little sooner, but he's playing a little farther inside. It kind of looked like 7, 8, 8, 9 right there at the arrows, out to only like 3, 4. He's not getting as far right because he knows if he gets it right. And even when I was bowling today, he goes, if you get it to the gutter, it's going to go Brooklyn. And if you don't get it there, you might not hit the 3-pin. I go, well, thanks.
That's a sport shot in a nutshell.
Oh, you got away with that one.
Now, the Vapor Zone is a pearl bowling ball, correct?
It is a pearl. They're both throwing pearl, but,
right.
With that asymmetrical core, it's going to rev up a little bit. And as you watch that one, it looked like it might have died just a little bit too soon, just for the fact that, one, Walter doesn't have the rev rate that some of the guys do, but I just think with as much friction as there is and throwing an asymmetrical ball, it could lose energy too quick. I mean, every ball thrown, if the lane was long enough, would slow down. And if it slows down too quick, you're not going to get the carry. But thank God we have great carry here. He hit it light, and he got away with it.
Here in Wyoming, Michigan.
Speaking of light carry, that looked like the 4-5 went sideways.
Check it out right here.
Well, that was kind of interesting because Ron just basically crossed the same area that Walter's playing. So they're on top of each other. Now, whether that black diamond going down the lane could affect that, I mean, I don't think there was enough shots that come into play to make a difference down lane to where the ball won't finish. But, you know, even like guys that go to the USBCs, you know, we always talk about trying to create hold. And there's not a lot of hold on this pattern. Obviously, it's only 34 feet, so, and it's a fresh pattern, so it's tough to create any hold.
Mohr looking to double here. Down 20.
Half pocket, hit him thin, watch him spin. So, you know, if you're hitting half pocket and you're striking, do you move to line up to hit flush? Question of the day.
Almighty question, isn't it?
Yeah, somebody could Facebook me and answer that question.
Walter Ray looking for number 4 in a row.
That was a little straighter
today.
And everybody probably heard fancy.
I know I did for most of the week.
That crossed like 9-5 down lane, so he's tightened up the line, which is, I think, is a good thing because there's so much friction out there. You want to play the friction, but you don't want to get into it too quick. You know, see, that's pin up. Basically kind of what I call 12 o'clock right over the bridge. Mass is pretty tight. It's going to get the ball down the lane. A lot of times when you get that mass way out, it causes the ball to roll earlier.
Walter Ray, and 5 now.
I think she scared the pins down that time.
Pretty sure one of them fell because of the scream.
The vibration.
Match number 2.
Walter Ray with the front 5. Ron Mohr answering the call with strike spare double.
Here at
Walter's
Spectrum Lanes, Wyoming, Michigan.
And I hope we're coming back next year. This is a beautiful place. And when this thing gets all done with that boutique and the other rooms over there, and I can't imagine what else he's doing to it because this is awesome.
Chase Kaufman alongside Tom Carter.
Ron Mohr answering the call.
Ron Mohr still down 20 pins through 5.
Ron Mohr's focus is unbelievable, and I've said it before on the show, and people have probably heard me, but you know, he used to be an air traffic controller, and I think that job requires a ton of focus. At least I would think it should. You know, how many people's lives you have in their hand. So he has a great deal of concentration, which is fantastic. I just wished I had it. I'm jealous there too. Ron Mohr, look at that index finger. That thing is pushing on the ball, something fierce. You know, that locks up your wrist, keeps it firm, so you don't flop at the bottom of the swing. He pushes hard with that index finger.
That one looked like it got a little more around it. Didn't seem to roll out after 40 feet.
Yeah, and it was
so.
a little higher in the pocket. It looked like it kept going.
That's awesome. You guys are doing it right.
Ron Mohr talking to the crowd. You watch Walter. You know, he does something a little bit different. He blows in that thumb hold, get a little bit of moisture, just gives you a little bit of tackiness. But, you know, we always talk about getting the ball into the swing early. And Walter tends to push it up a little bit, which is not what you normally see, especially out of the young guys on the tour. They're always dropping like Dominic Barrett, Chris Prather. You know, just they get that swing. I mean, to me, if 3 o'clock straight out in front of you, 12 o'clock's at the ceiling, 6 o'clock's at the floor, they push it, to me, it looks like to about 4:30 and lets it drop right into the swing. And Walter's got like a little bump up, you know, gives him a little bit more delayed timing at the line, but obviously it works for him. Not everybody does the same thing out here.
Sure does. Looking for the front 7 here. He's got to carry. Able to swish out that 7 pin.
He didn't like that release at all, and that ball looked like it quit at 50 feet, but it caught enough of the head pin to mix them up. That ball hooked and said, oh, the heck with it. But the 4-pin laid down just in front of the 7 and knock it over. I hope he didn't hurt his wrist, because he grabbed his wrist like that wasn't so good. So we'll see on the next shot.
Mohr been involved in a lot of high-scoring matches today. Lost to LeClair in match play, 259 to 199. Bob Lauren Jr. shot 266 against him. Terry Metzner shot 223 against him.
Local.
Eugene Mccune shot 259 against him. Larry Verbal 221. These are high scores. The average to make this top 5, I think, was around 225, 224.
Right. You know, as we went across the house here, I mean, the lanes played pretty much the same. I mean, there's some slight moves here and there, but today there was a pair that was just kind of brutal. There was a match between Pete Weber and Doug Kent, 25 and 26, I think, and it was 150 to 139. And two players like that, both Hall of Famers, both have won the U.S. Open and the Masters. How do you shoot 150 and 139? And you got to say it's not their ability. That the lanes play just that weird.
To make matters worse, the guys that came on the next game, I believe they shot a 490 combined.
Oh,
Pete
nice.
Weber split 5 times in that game and won his match. That's
that's amazing.
That's got to be, but maybe not a first, but maybe a second.
But that's why we do this goofy game. You know, you never know. We're fighting an invisible enemy out there, and we're doing our best to try to read ball motion and make adjustments so that we can get to the pocket.
Ron Mohr down quite a few marks now. Got to find a couple doubles.
Ron Mohr
himself.
If he strikes out 259, but Walter right now is going at a 300 pace. We'll see if he grabs his wrist. If there is an injury there, he does wear a little bit of wrist support, but maybe he just didn't get out of that one as well as he'd like to.
Oh, and by the way, to finish the high scores against Ron Mohr, Lennie Boresch shot 277 against him in position round.
Oh.
So, not Mohr's weekend. Everybody just wants to beat him. And Walter Ray, that includes him.
Well,
front
yeah.
8.
Well, Walter's been wanting this 15th title, and he's obviously going at it pretty aggressively. You watch that follow-through. He is just, you think he's playing horseshoes with that follow-through that he's got going. One more shot here. Good.
Looking for 9.
That didn't sound so good.
I didn't see the shot, but I heard the sound, and that sounded like it hit straight through the face.
Normally when he just stands up like that, he didn't like it. So either he got it in.
It almost looked like he didn't swing it enough.
No,
you know?
he never
like
got
didn't
it
get
to the
enough.
spot down lane. But there's that wonderful black diamond that's got to be 50 years old. That is his spare ball. It's going to go straight if it doesn't thump all the way down the lane. He has the unique ability to throw it end over end. That ball doesn't go anywhere. And you heard it going thump, thump, thump down the lane. Can't hook when it's in the air.
As long as you get him, that's all that matters. Walter Ray, PBA and USBC Hall of Fame member, all-time tour leader titles with 47 titles.
It's just amazing that you can win that many times. And he's another ever-ready bunny. He'll probably he's going to the next tournaments, but in between tournaments, he finds regionals and does lessons and clinics, and it's like he never stops. I don't know if the guy ever sleeps.
Labor of love. Ron Mohr looking to strike out here in the 9th and 10th to shoot 259 and force Walter to mark at least.
There's the first one. He's going to make Walter come to the dance.
Walter would go 256 if he were to go 9 miss. So Mohr still with an opportunity.
9 miss. Did you just say 9 miss?
Yeah, that's true. Okay, fine. We'll just say open. 9 miss is the easy way to do math, but I doubt we'll be seeing that.
Oh, the odds I got to
Odds of
think
the
about
9
that
miss,
one.
Probably.
The odds
Would
of
you
Walter
take 10,000 to 1?
of Walter missing a single pin. I've seen it happen, but man, I wouldn't want to bet on that one.
Yeah, when was that? Like 20 years ago, 25?
1962.
He accidentally grabbed a horseshoe. Mohr looking for the first and the 10th. And you saw that just not take that turn in the end, left a flat 10.
There's something different about that shot. And what it looked like from my angle, there was a little more airtime off of his hand. He didn't get it off of his hand as clean as he did the others, because he actually, from here, could hear it literally kind of bang on the lane. And that ball just didn't obviously read the pattern at all. So it is going to be all said and done for Ron Mohr. Even if he strikes, it's 238. Walter has 238 in the bag without throwing a ball.
And that 10 pin will do it there. 237 for Mohr. Williams already at 238. What a tournament for Ron Mohr. Once again, I feel like we have to say that every single tournament.
Well, he's on every week. I mean, it's almost like a sitcom. He's at 7 o'clock every week. Ron Mohr is going to be on the show, I mean, which is a great thing. You know, most of us out here would just love to be on the show one time, let alone as many times as he makes it.
And
oh my goodness!
Walter already won.
Yeah, it's a good thing. I don't know if he tried something different, but I hope he learned something on that shot, because obviously that's not what he wants to do the next match. You know, if I was him, which I'm not, but he's already got it won, why try to pick this up? Use a different ball, throw it down the lane, and see what it's going to give you. You know, this is a freebie right here.
And he's going to go for the spare. You know what? He just wanted a full rack. That's what he wanted to do.
Okay, so now he can try a different ball, throw it down the lane, and see what it's going to give him. I mean, but it's Walter Ray. He's that good. He doesn't. But as many games as he's bowled, he is trying a different ball. So, hey, I got something right.
Now, what ball is that, Tom?
That is a conspiracy pearl, and that might be the ball that he won the first 3 titles with, because that's what he used the first 3 tournaments to win. So I know that ball is still in the bag.
So what is this? Is that a little stronger, a little weaker?
It's a little bit stronger. It's going to roll up a little sooner. It's not going to be quite as violent on the back end. It's an asymmetrical ball also. So it's going to just have a total different motion. That is a radical ball compared to the Brunswick ball he's throwing. Great tournament for Ron Mohr. I'm quite sure that we're going to see him next week and the 2 weeks after that in the PBA50. We'll be right back with the next match right after Eugene Mccune takes his practice shots.
Eugene Mccune will elect to start on the left lane here for our semifinal match.
Same thing Walter did last match, so not that I think it's going to affect Walter a whole lot, but, you know, it might get into your head a little bit. Eugene Mccune throwing the bullets most of the time, the high hard one, up the outside, but it looks like he elected to go inside and hook it for a strike.
Mccune starts off strong. This is not the first time these two have faced each other this week. They've actually faced each other twice, once in match play round 2 and another in the position round. Mccune won both of those matches. The first one 267 to 224 and the second 234 to 228.
So I had mentioned earlier that Walter might be the only guy on the show throwing asymmetrical, and as of right now, I am wrong, because Eugene Mccune looks like he started out with an astrophysics, which is a asymmetrical ball, moved inside, but if I'm not mistaken, on this pair earlier, he played like 20 on the left lane and 3 on the right lane. So we'll see if he chooses to do that in this match against Walter Ray.
Yeah, they had a tiebreaker roll-off game to decide the first seed between him and Lennie Boresch Jr. And obviously, seeing Eugene here, Lennie won that match. And midway through that game, Eugene decided to move all the way left. He was going around 19-20 at the arrows, and that was deeper than I'd seen anybody all weekend. So that was quite a shock to me when he decided to do that, even though we all know what his A game is.
Yeah, I'm surprised because normally when they get like that, Eugene will just pull the grips out of the ball and throw it harder up the outside.
Chuck it.
And somebody here was timing it. The monitors was saying that he was throwing it like 19-20, and a guy put a stopwatch on him, and it ended up being 23 mile an hour. He was throwing a ball up the outside.
We'll check where he's playing at right here. He's actually not going to play outside.
He has moved in on both lanes. But Eugene's got, not only does he have speed, he has an incredible rev rate also. So this guy is probably one of the most underrated guys that have probably been out on tour. He's got so many tricks that he can do with his hand and speed and loft. And just like I said, like pulling grips out. I seen him at a tournament pull grips out of the ball, throwing it over the gutter, and shoots 279. You know, just unheard of things. You know, and this is what you call thinking outside the box and figuring out a way to win.
And that one looks like came out of it weird, but somehow.
Yeah, it looked like he lost his balance,
good.
came out of it weird, but it bounced off the outside because we know that there's friction out there. And if that ball had been slower down lane, it might have rolled out and not actually got to the pocket. If it had been my speed, that wouldn't have happened. it would have hit the 3-6 in the face.
Eugene Mccune, a 3-time PBA Tour titleist. Looking for his first actual PBA 50 Tour title. He had one last season.
Oh, no good. Looks like Walter tried to go straighter outside, and he might be a little bit confused, or he might not want to start on that right lane. That ball just checked and came in high.
Yeah, it looked like it was going to be okay, but down the lane it just never got to that spot, it looked like.
So I guess I would have to think in his fill shot, he threw the other ball, which looked pretty good. Why he didn't start with that? Maybe he just felt that he had a better look. Walter's not a big one to switch balls. I mean, he's got a bunch of hand positions also. So changing, oh, there he goes. He is going for the other ball. But for the most part, once he finds a ball, he'll switch speeds and hand positions to make that work.
Walter down early. Got a little bit of work to do to catch up.
So when he grabbed his wrist, it didn't, I guess there wasn't a problem. He just instinctively grabbed his wrist. It looks like he didn't like that either, but he moved in off of that. He's shaking his head like he got away with that. But that's always a confusing thing when you get away with a shot and you maybe don't feel like you threw it the greatest. Oh, and that went Brooklyn. So now what do you do? You know, is he going to move farther left? Because we know if he moved left farther, they hook more. So is he going to go right? Is he going to go left? I don't think I would try playing Eugene's game because Eugene's the only one that can play that game. Oh, he just caught, look at that. He caught a whole bunch of that looking at his hand like he hit that too hard. The grips might be coming out of this ball.
I think they got left on his finger.
As hard and as many revs as Eugene got, he says his son has got more speed and more revs. I was like, that's kind of hard to imagine, but youth is a wonderful thing. Eugene Mccune finished. He finished in the show here last year also. So this is kind of like a repeat. Oh, he's switching, throwing a different ball. Looks like he picked up a phase 2.
We'll see if this is just for the spare attempt or for an interesting way to pick it up. See if it's just a spare attempt or a strike shot, but that was an interesting spare. This is not how we typically want to pick this up, is it?
No, that was you have to call that luck.
Yeah.
He knew he missed it, and then he got a break, and he's like, "Oh, really? Okay, yes, sir. I'll take that." Now, is he going to try to go to a ball that's no? He's going to stick with the same ball. looking at his hand like talking to his fingers. Don't do this.
Mccune up 29. 31 rather. Nice shot there. Asking himself, why didn't he do that last shot? And Walter Ray, as he steps up, he only needed to finish 15th or better in this tournament to clinch up the PBA50 Player of the Year. And obviously you see him now, so he's done that.
So he is Player of the Year then.
Yes,
Congratulations. You know, earlier I mentioned, if you're hitting light and striking, do you make an adjustment to go flush or you stay light? And the gentleman got back to me, Pat Brown, says, to me it's just 50-50 if you want to make that slight adjustment or not, which is true. It's a chance you're going to take anyway, you know. To me, I mean, if I'm hitting half pocket and they're falling down and scattering them, I'm not moving until that doesn't work.
Chase Kaufman here alongside Tom Carter here for the PBA50 Spectrum Lanes Open in Wyoming, Michigan.
That ball is just not reading the lane quite right. It looks like it wants to get there, but it's just not making the turn. Now, Walter, as I said earlier, he's got a lot of hand positions. He might have flattened it out because he thought it was jumping too much too early, but now he's backed it off enough that it's not jumping enough. So there's got to be some kind of adjustment being made. So this is our first time working together.
It is.
Yeah, this is awesome. This is good.
Glad to be here. This is my second event overall. I was back in Monticello, ran that show, and now I'm on the commentary here.
Yeah, I like it.
Having fun. So Mccune up 22.
Walter Ray with 95 in the fifth, spare up. Eugene Mccune, 97 in the fourth with a strike up. He can take the lead.
And you know what Ron Mohr's thinking? Where was this last game?
Right. You always think that.
It always seems to happen that way until then they shoot a 180 and then they shoot 280 next game and you okay, that's pretty good.
You hear that a lot, especially like, solid 9. That ball never did stop going left. You hear that in like the Masters with that bracket system.
Right.
You know, you just shot, say, 720 and you lost, and the guy next to you is shooting 540 and winning. You watch Eugene on that follow through there. He's just trying to keep his hand open, not over hit the ball, because if he does, it's going to hook.
So this might be a tough question, but a lot of coaches always tell kids, stay down in your shot, don't fall over. Mccune does the exact opposite. Why do you think he's so successful doing what he's able to do?
Well, I would have to go with revs and speed. For most of us, we can't throw it that hard, and we don't rev it that much. So we always preach being solid at the line. Stick the shot, being solid. And Norm Duke is a master at it, and obviously he's got 30-some titles to his credit. And with Eugene only having 3, and you got the greats with a whole bunch. Look at Pete Weber, sticks every shot. Parker Bone, and that's earlier I said that you couldn't throw it in the gutter on day 1, and when I talked to LeClair, he said today you could throw it in the gutter because he threw 4 gutter balls. There's not that defined, massive friction like there was the first day.
Mccune trying to come back after that gutter. He will not. He'll open in the 7th.
He is ripping.
The door.
Here we go. He's overhitting the ball. He's going to make an adjustment. I told you the grips might come out of this ball.
All tied up now here in the 7th frame.
Barring that Walter strikes here, right?
Correct.
But I don't think I'd want to open the door for Walter because I'm pretty sure he's going to step right through the door.
Oh, yeah. He'll knock it down.
Kind of like that.
Tied through 7, and Walter Ray has the opportunity to take the lead here with a double. Take another look at this one. Do you notice any adjustments he might have made on this shot?
to me, it looks like he just really squared up to the shot. I mean, he didn't give it away a lot. He tightened up the line. Obviously, the ball's going to loses energy as it goes away from the pocket and comes back, because the ball's going to slow down, especially with this much friction. And if you can keep it on line a little bit more, you got a better chance, I think, of carrying it on this. So if he can tighten up the line, and I'm surprised Eugene's not really kind of moving to the right, firing it up. But Walter, I mean, that looked a lot straighter through the front part of the lane than what's been going on.
Walter Ray now with a 10-pin lead. Walter went plus 247 day 1, plus 304 day 2, plus 134 in his first round of match play, and plus 185 in match play round 2. Back to Mccune now. And can't get the 10 out there.
Now, he kind of hate to see that kind of, it looked like he was almost, I don't want to call it defeated, but he's like, that should have carried, you know. You got to stay aggressive, because he's searching right now, you know, and you definitely don't want to let your opponent think that, you know, you're out of the match, and you're never, whoa.
It fell, don't worry.
That ball went down there quick. And if you've ever watched Eugene bowl at all, even on the shows, he can throw it 100. He's got one of the best ratings, you know, that I think it was the Cheetah tournament on TV, that he was throwing it 1,000,000 miles an hour off the outside and just crushed him.
Eugene needing a double to stay in this, most likely. Does get in the 9.
And Eugene posted that shot better. He didn't jump out of it as much. And I think when you jump up, just my opinion, when you jump up as you're releasing the ball, you're going to hit up on the ball, and you're going to make it overhook, and odds are you're going to pull it left of your target.
Mccune can max out for 215. Williams for a 235.
It's not over yet.
No, it is not.
Walter hopping him out. I don't know if I call that a run, but he's hopping him to the left.
That 10-pin's been the last to fall.
I think
many of his strikes today.
I think they're just scared of Fancy. I'm scared back here. That was more over like 9-10. He's keeping it much tighter. That's what makes him so amazing. He's got so many tricks, and the greats, I think, I swear to God, they got X-ray vision. They can see the lane somehow, you know, what's best and where to play. That wasn't a very good shot.
No, you could see that one in at the break point.
And that's not what he wanted in the first ball of the 10th frame. That just went high. He got that a little bit right early, and now he's got the 310, picks this up, strikes out, 213. Mccune can strike out for 215.
Not sure. He was looking at something over there. Can't really tell if it was a person or just upset in general. So this is what you ask for as a bowler, though. Just give me a chance.
Well,
See if you can take advantage of it. And he missed it.
Unbelievable. 201.
So that's going to force Mccune to get the first one.
He needs the first one in the 10th. And that is totally whatever bothered Walter, obviously bothered him a lot.
It was interesting, though. It wasn't as he threw it, really. It seemed like it was as he came back is when he noticed it.
Right.
So I don't know if someone may be cheering against him or something happened.
Yeah.
And Mccune looking back around the same area.
Yeah. He heard something. Something's going on.
Not sure. I don't hear anything, but you never
We got
know
headsets on.
That's true. Also, when you're up there, you hear everything when you're up there.
Well, I do. I got rabbit ears. I can hear behind me. That's a terrible thing.
Turn back again, same area.
Something's going on.
No, I'm scared to talk.
McCune needs this one.
Crosses over
For
and
Brooklyn.
gets the 9 to fall.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
13 distractions, and he gets the break. Now he's got to get count, though. He hasn't won it yet. He's got to get count.
Mike Eaton, our tournament host, enjoying this. And Tom, who does that feel worse for? Williams, because he just almost lost to a Brooklyn, or McCune because he beat Williams with a Brooklyn?
I guarantee you both of those guys feel bad. I mean, neither one of them. I'm sure he doesn't want to win that way, and Walter didn't want to, see that happen. He didn't want to lose missing a 310 either.
At the end of the day, though, if McCune takes this win, he's going to be happy that this happened. Needing just good count here.
The high hard one up the outside, and that's his A game.
Eugene McCune
comes
comes back.
defeating Walter Ray Williams. Walter ending up with 201 if Eugene throws this last strike, shooting 215. Walter has to live another day to get that 15th title to break the record from John Handegard. Both of them tied at 14 PBA senior titles. Walter wants that win. McCune will go on to compete against our tournament leader, the guy with the voodoo roll, Lennie Boresch.
Eugene McCune moves on 215 to 201. We'll be right back for our stepladder final match here at Spectrum Lanes for the PBA50 Spectrum Lanes Open presented by DV8. We'll be right back. As our final bowlers take their final practice shots, Eugene McCune is going to take on Lennie Boresch Jr. And Tom, kind of saw a little bit happening there in that last 10th frame between both Walter Ray and Eugene McCune.
Yeah.
What happened there?
I guess over here by the door, because they remodeled, and this is all kind of a new entrance over here, the plate down there, if you cross it or you step on it, it makes this loud snapping sound. And that's what they were hearing, people coming in, spectators coming in the bathrooms over there.
Okay.
And they're going across this plate and not trying to make any
So
kind
nothing
of
intentional.
No,
Okay.
not any noise that they were trying to do, but it just happened to be at the wrong time, and it caught everybody, and they heard it.
Yeah, at first, because it was the same thing twice, they all looked back there 3 different
Well-
times, so I thought, is someone rooting against somebody here?
Well, at first when I asked John Weber, he said plate, and when he said it, it sounded like he said fight, and I go, "There's a fight?" there wasn't a
I
fight.
didn't hear that.
it was a plate. It's over here by the new construction. So unfortunately, it's just bad timing, and it's just unfortunately the name of the game. And this happens. We're in a bowling center. You never know what's going to happen. We got a bar behind us. We got an arcade. Things happen. You don't want them to happen, but you never know.
All right, well, let's hope nothing happens here. Let's get back to the lanes and see what happens. Final match coming up of the PBA 50 Spectrum Lanes Open presented by DV8 here between Eugene McCune, the 2 seed, and the 1 seed Lennie Boresch Jr.
The guy with the voodoo roll. Lennie making his second show. He finished 4th last week at Championship Lanes. So last match, Eugene decided to hook it. This match, kind of going with a high hard one.
Yeah, we kind of saw him go all over the place almost that last game. We saw him start out well. In the middle, he kind of struggled, and then he finished out well. So it'll be interesting to see what he ends up doing here for these final 10 frames.
Well, these guys technically never bowled each other in match play today until they tied for first place for the show. Then they had to bowl to see who was going to be first and second. And obviously Lennie won that match. He's the top seed.
Essentially, it was at the time a $1,500 match because the loser would have won a minimum $2,500 and the winner would have won minimum $4,000. All is good and done, though. They're the 1 and 2 seeds now. Just a little more work for McCune in the middle. Winner will take home $7,500. Boresch with his first shot here.
Lennie Boresch is unbelievable. That guy comes from nowhere, it seems like, and sneaks up on you. And next thing you know, he's on the show, and you're like, where was Lennie earlier? Lennie throwing a symmetrical ball. The new Emerald IQ.
Lennie last
Pinned
season.
down.
Pinned down, too.
Yeah, that's a – didn't quite see where Eugene's was, but this being pinned down, makes the ball a little bit smoother, takes that differential out of the ball, lets it just kind of roll off the pattern, which is really not a bad idea when you've got this much friction.
Maybe kick out that 6 there.
And Lennie playing them straighter like Walter went to, in that last game. Walter kind of tightened up things, and kind of what Lennie's doing. The half pocket, the carry in this place is unbelievable, because I don't think in some of the places that we bowled, some of these would have fallen quite as easily.
Mccune on a spare. He's the 3-6-10, comes in a little high.
That went down there quick. Either he's going to have to move in or he's going to have to bump the gutter just a little bit. That hit like 10-11. He never got that right down lane. So that was just a mental mistake on his part. I'm sure that's not where he was playing. The 3-6-10, 9,000 ways to miss it, one way to make it. And that's...
How about that way?
Okay. I don't think Nelson Burton would agree with that, but that's... Normally you want to hit the 3-6 and the 6 take out the 10, but, you can hit the left side of the 3 and hope you can domino him. And he did.
Eugene Mccune out of Munster, Indiana, 51 years old.
That's why he throws it so hard. He's young.
Gotcha.
I'm going with that. How's that?
Works for me. Mccune down 3. 13 rather. And almost 2-8-10 there, and that was something I didn't see a lot of this week. There wasn't a lot of 2-8-10s as compared to a lot of other places I've seen.
So I would attribute that there was so much friction, it was hard to come in light. The ball just bounced off of the gutter. But here's something, since all the guys have told me today, there seems to be a little bit more schnot outside if you hit it at the wrong spot.
And it looks like that re-rack we saw in 29.
Oh, he must have thrown it on the second side.
Yeah, left it on the second, so they're going to have to reset that sleeper.
There's another pin down. Phase 2. With Eugene's speed, there's no doubt that, he could probably pick this up, because there was a lot of pins that bounced out from the back. I crossed with Bob Learn, and he threw pins everywhere, and we were always chasing them back into the pit.
Mccune cleans up the sleeper. Now down 15. Lennie Boresch Jr. out of Kenosha, Wisconsin. He won the 2018 PBA50 National Championship for his first major and his 4th career title.
Lennie, you can't say, prince of a guy. You can't say enough about him. But when he gets on the lanes, and he's kind of that quiet tiger. He just never seems to give up the pocket. He always finds a way to get the job done. He is quite the player.
Yeah, I was about to say, he kind of seems like one of those guys that just always sticks around.
Yeah, and
never shooting super high scores, but he's always sticking around.
I don't care if he qualified 24th today. It would make no difference, because he'll find his way to the show. It's kind of like him and Ron Mohr have this second sense that when it comes to match play, they just get so focused that they strike a lot.
3 300s between these two bowlers here this weekend. Lennie Boresch with the majority of them, 2.
Yeah.
Mccune had 1.
Well, that's what makes Lennie on the show. You don't when you have 2 300s, you're going to generate some plus pins.
Oh yeah. And Boresch was 10th after qualifying.
Lennie with that unique approach that almost thank you so much.
Those are the ones where you cheer as if it was a strike, but all you did was just get rid of the split. Those were my favorites.
Because he definitely happy, because that was ugly at the beginning. That came in high, came off the spot a little hard, and it looked like it was going to be a 5 count, ends up being a 4 count, ends up being a 3 count. So he has a 3-6-10. You got to say he lucked out on that. You watch his Lennie's fourth and fifth step. They are just so tiny, just quick steps.
Four games over 270 for Lennie this week. A couple 300s, a 279 and a 277.
Well, the condition we had was conducive to high scores. That, you know, if you could get to the pocket, obviously getting to the pocket wasn't the hard part, is the carry. If you had the right roll, you got the job done. So we're going to roll the 2-pin from the backside. Eugene's looking like he's totally lost because he's tried 2 different balls on probably 3 different lines now and doesn't like any of them. That went right up 5 at about 6 down lane at quite fast. If they had the miles per hour up there on the screen, I would let you know. But that went down there quick.
Gonna stick with the same ball. For most of match play, from what I saw at least, it seemed like he was throwing the phase 2 outside of first error for the most part. But now, right now, he's throwing this.
A lot of the guys, you know, like we said earlier on the show, that use some surface just to smooth out that back end. A lot of guys didn't throw Pearl because Pearl. Okay, I don't even know what to say about that. I mean,
Got that one in.
That's what speed and revs do for you. It makes pins mix. And
Let's take another look. Wow.
That was down there quick. That was high. Ball comes off the sideboard.
Logged a 3.
That you're not going to see. And here's the problem. He's had 2 shots. Granted, he's got a double. But how do you duplicate? How do you reproduce those shots?
It'll be interesting to see what he does. Boresch now up by just 1.
That ball was a little bit farther outside, but it made it back to the pocket, just kind of that half pocket swooshing hit. I mean, if I was him, I wouldn't change a thing. If it's going to carry, I'm going to stay there. Take my chances when it quits carrying.
Final match here, halfway through. No commercials. We didn't have any commercials in the first 3 games either. We're better than TV. Boresch up by 1.
Maybe I can get a motorhome company to sponsor us so mine doesn't break down.
9-3 in match play was Boresch Jr.
That was like 10-5, and that didn't get out as far.
It showed.
Yep. He's trying to keep it tight, but one thing you can't do is it looks like they're almost hooking sooner. You can't get soft. This is a definite opening for Mccune, and he's getting some breaks going his way.
See if Mccune can take advantage of the couple lucky strikes he had.
Yeah, looking for his first PBA title. He, again, does have a title. Well, can't call it a title. He did win, but it was as a non-member.
Obviously would love to have his first real title here.
So he's changed back again. So this is kind of a hodgepodge of what are we going to do and try to find something. And we're in the 6th frame already, and we haven't decided on what we're going to do and where we're going to throw it.
It's been working so far. He's still leading. And he won his last match, so we'll see what happens here. This one looks all right. Locks the 10.
Again, we talk about
good
not
lead.
being solid at the line. You asked me that question earlier. His speed and his rev rate can make those kind of things happen. I mean, he's not giving up the pocket, and he can throw it hard enough to make them mix.
Oh, yeah, for a lot of guys, a shot like that, easy 10-pin, flat, but since it's him.
I don't think there's, other than maybe John Burkett, I don't think there's a senior out here that can throw it as hard as Eugene can.
At least with the accuracy he does consistently. Trying to make it a 4-bagger. That was an interesting shot,
Wow.
Tom. What
That
happened
is-
there?
He's just going so hard and so fast to the line. I mean, you get your feet going that fast and want to throw it that hard and see how it is to stop. I mean, he's literally on his toes. His heel for braking didn't even hardly come into play. He was up on his toes trying to get to stop. I mean, that's where he gets all that leverage, because if he can get stopped quick, that arm comes through. Oh, my, it's like a catapult.
Lennie not able
Compared
to
to
pick up set
Eugene's
now.
ball going down
Right.
there, this looks like it took like 3 seconds to get there. Eugene is, and sometimes it happens. You actually have to take the lane out of play. And when you can throw it that hard, you're not giving the ball time enough to read the lane condition. You know, most of the time we want to follow the lane condition, and that shot's going to be more repeatable. But when the lanes get so kind of goofy, if you can throw it that hard and keep it on line and take the lane out of play, it's kind of like going to the Peterson. You know, roll the Peterson, take the lane out of play, hit the head pin.
20-20. Boresch is going to need a double or two here. Max out for 222. Mccune can max out for a lot more.
Yeah.
265 to be exact.
Yeah.
Needs doubles and needs help.
Yeah, he's going to 225 pace now without having to do anything. Lennie's got to light him up here.
And
2-8-10. So that lane has definitely become a little bit questionable, a little squirrely, because now it's like the ball's not reading the back end of the lane at all. Like, where did the friction go? Either that ball, now here's the big dilemma we always talk about. Did the ball burn up and not make the turn, or was it the oil carried down and kept it from making the turn? You know, and I would pretty much have to say, since this is such a short pattern, it could, even a pearl ball could burn up, because they're designed to really read that dry as soon as they see it. And if it hits that dry, it uses so much energy so quick, it could have just stopped.
Mccune taking advantage, 5 in a row.
He is absolutely throwing bullets down the lane.
That's what he's best at.
If I did that, my shoulder would still be in the ball going down the lane. There would be parts flying off.
Different reason to withdraw.
Yeah, I'd have a different reason to withdraw. Not my knee this time.
Mccune trying to make it 6 in a row. Can't log out the 10 there.
Yeah.
He's okay with it. And that, ladies and gentlemen,
is pretty much wrapped up this match.
It
right
is.
now. It is, because
Mccune can miss this and go gutter for 202. Boresch maxes out for 198.
Eugene Mccune, unbelievable. This is where speed and power come in, and youth comes into play.
For sure.
We're on the PBA50 tour, but Eugene, being 51 years old, strong young guy, and he's always been able to throw it hard. He's got such great leverage, and he just overpowered the lane.
And we kind of saw him struggle early on. And day one of qualifying only went 30 or 40 over, and then something had to click, and he came back and rose to the top. He just ever so slightly jumped a couple spots each game, and all of a sudden he's the 2 seed, and now he's the tournament champion.
Well, you know, when you see guys moving left and not striking, and they're moving right and they're not striking, Eugene just goes, well, I'll take both of those out of play.
Straighter is greater.
Yep, and I'm going at the pocket.
Boresch going to try to finish this out strong.
But, you know, the hard thing, that left lane has totally got him waxed. But, you know, the hard thing about what Eugene's doing, and it's a good thing, even though he's 51, youth on his side, keeping that speed up, you know, for a whole day in match play, or even if he would have been in the first match, keeping it up for all the matches, that is tough to do. Lennie Boresch, best he can do if he strikes is 178. Eugene Mccune can go out at 244. Lennie striking out, finishing up 178, and I know as well as he's bowled today, then he won in that position round match, then run in the roll-off. This is not what he wanted, but you never know what's going to happen on the championship pair, the way guys break them down. Congratulations to Eugene Mccune winning his first PBA 50 title.
And what I can presume is the first of probably a few more.
Yeah, when you're 51 and you're out here, and a lot of guys, believe it or not, are out here and they're still in their 70s. He's got 20 years on the senior tour. I expect more titles to be coming his way.
Final match, 230 to 178 in favor of Eugene Mccune, who takes home the PBA 50 Spectrum Lanes Open title presented by DV8.